This is the CrossGen podcast sound check.
Podcast. What are those? I think I do not have the brain function to come up with something elaborate this morning.
Good morning, people. Good morning. Hello. Hello.
That's it.
Hold on. I'm trying to find something right now.
Ground control to Major Tom.
That ties in. Oh, wait.
Ground control to Major Tom.
Wait, Space Oddity by who again?
Take your protein pills and put your helmet on. Ground control to Major Tom. Space Oddity by David Bowie. Which is that was made. Oh my gosh, when was that made? That was made way back in 1967.
Can you believe this? This kid has never heard Space Oddity before.
He's going to have to. He's probably heard it.
No.
He just probably doesn't remember it. But that ties in perfectly with our podcast today.
Yeah.
Anyway, are we done with our sound check?
I hope so.
All right.
Yep.
Sound check done. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the CrossGen podcast. This is a very special episode we're having today because today we're rolling out our second version of
CrossGen Conspiracy Corner.
Yes, we are going to be doing Conspiracy Corner today because of news that just recently came out about something that has been conspiratoriized. It's been a subject of many conspiracy theories over the years and actually goes back to before BC. It goes back a long, long time.
Wow.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
So today we're going to be talking about UFOs. Are they real? Do they exist? Are they here to kill us if they do? Are they here to save us if they're not? What's going on? Hashtag Illuminati confirmed.
God,
All
that's
this other
such a
stuff.
dead meme.
It's such a great meme.
No, it isn't.
Too bad it is.
All right, but before we start, let's do what we normally do and alert our audience, our wonderful audience, our lovely audience, our worldwide audience. First, we want to say thank you guys for making the CrossGen podcast so popular.
Yay.
We have to really, really give you guys a thanks because the reason that we do what we do is, well, because we kind of like it. You know, we like talking about crap.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, but we also like engaging with you guys. And so on that note, we tell you to please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Please, if you have any feedback or anything, just email us at thecrossgenpodcast@gmail.com. And, there's a very, very, very good possibility that we'll actually read your email on the show and give you guys credit. So whenever you do send that email over, just leave us your name, if you wish, and your general geographic area, and we'll give you a shout out on the show. Also, I want to alert everybody to the fact that this April, our hosting platform, Captivate, is teaming up with Podchaser and Meals on Wheels across America. For every review that's left on the Podchaser platform, they will donate 25 cents. And for every reply that we make to your reviews, they will also match it for an extra 25 cents basically giving $1,000 per show to this great charity. The charity is there because they're trying to, feed the seniors here during the pandemic because they really have suffered a lot. A lot of people have suffered a lot, but seniors in particular. So, this is a great cause. So please, I invite you, go over to podchaser.com, find the CrossGen podcast, give us a review, and do your part to help these seniors in need. With that being said, let's get started with Conspiracy Corner.
Ragged flagging.
What? What
Who?
does that mean?
Ragged flagging.
That's a conspiracy right there. What is that?
What is that? Yeah, I have no idea what you're saying.
Speak.
Ragged flagging.
Ragged flagged?
Ragged flagging.
Ragged flagging?
Hey, E.
Ragged flagging.
Aliens are among us. And
Among
they are
Us.
and they are AJ.
No, but seriously, Among Us. I mean,
Skyrim. That's from Skyrim.
Oh, ragged. Oh, ragged flagging.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he's a Skyrim alien.
What?
yo,
How does that even? What?
there's a number.
Well, does that take place on Earth or does that
Monster
take
Among
place
Us.
on a different Earth?
Well, technically, you're not wrong, because their constellations or rather, their star map is pretty wacky.
Well, I mean,
Skyrim.
They
are
have like
aliens.
several moons.
No. But like, this could be Earth on a different dimension.
No,
In
we don't
Skyrim's
have
dimension.
different moons. That's another planet.
But
Skyline-
in a different dimension, Earth could have been
Skyrim
changed.
are aliens.
I mean,
Hashtag Illuminati
you're
confirmed.
not wrong, but I don't know.
so what, you'd prefer that humans on Skyrim are aliens?
Well,
Because
it's
they
not
are.
exactly impossible.
Do they ever mention what the name of the planet is? Or
Well,
it's
they
just the
call
land
it
of
Nern. That's what they refer to
I mean,
the quote unquote Earth as Nern.
there you go. Hashtag Illuminati confirmed.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Boom.
That actually isn't.
Skyrim, aliens.
Because they have Solstheim.
So what?
Solstheim is
Bears.
basically like an alien life form world. I mean, you have those weird jellyfish things.
That doesn't mean.
Yeah, son. Yeah, it's an.
Yeah,
It's
let's
an
get
alien
into
planet.
the topic.
Skyrim, aliens, bears, beats, Battlestar Galactica.
Galactica. Yeah.
That's a reference for The Office, if you guys don't know. Anyway, let's get into it. So let's talk a little bit about UFOs, which are, drumroll please, unidentified
dun,
flying
dun.
objects.
That does not mean it's alien. It's not.
Right.
That's like a common, I guess, misconception.
It's a common name for something that is flying and an
Mhm.
object
That's
that's unidentified. A UFO, right?
Yeah.
But now let's talk about the history of UFOs, because the history of UFOs goes back a long time. And so I'm pretty sure even in the times of when, men were, still uncivilized and,
Yeah.
Austrio, what's the name of Lucy? The
Australopithecus. Maybe
Whatever.
it's Afarensis.
Yeah. But even then, we had
Oh, God.
concepts.
I should know that by heart.
I know. That's why I look at you, right?
I'm
But
pretty sure I'm right, but I just want to
the
double check that.
Australopithecus, whatever it is,
Australopithecus afarensis, probably.
that sounds pretty correct from my what is it? Waning memory,
Yeah.
But that sounds
Yep,
correct.
that's right.
Yeah, so even from back then, I'm pretty sure that they used to look up, because they were still pretty much intelligent at that point. They weren't as intelligent maybe as us, because they weren't as developed as us current period. But they did have notions of life and stuff. And I'm pretty sure they looked up into the sky and saw things and said, "Oh, that's a UFO." Well, they didn't say that. They maybe say UFO, right? But it goes back as far as man can remember, right? And so, you know, it's funny because if you look at some of the stuff that we are talking about, this goes back as far back as before Christ. You know,
Yeah.
the moniker of BC, right? Um, they Some of the earliest histories of UFOs have been sightings of comets. For example, way back when, the Chinese astronomers in 240 BC mistakenly took for a UFO Halley's Comet.
Haley's Comet. What is that?
Halley's Comet.
Halley's Comet.
It's a very famous phenomenon. It's a comet, obviously, but it shows up. It shows up every I don't know how many years and stuff. So you know, it's something that circles our solar system. But you know, going back then when science wasn't as pervasive as it is now,
Mm-hmm.
it was a UFO. You know,
Yeah.
so astrological phenomenon such as comets, meteorites, asteroids, shooting stars, those were all considered UFOs.
Yeah.
Right? And like I said, especially back then when science wasn't as um
Big and
right.
accepted.
The thing was it was either, you know, life from a different planet, or maybe they were religious signs. You know, those were big back then. Things were unexplained. So there is a lot of that kind of stuff BC, right? If we go into the modern century, though, that's when you start looking at things where it's like, okay, now these are wonders that are unexplained, and science is a little bit more accepted here. You look at some of the things that happened in 1561 in Nuremberg, where they saw a large triangular black object, and you know, couldn't explain it, classified as UFO. The 1566 celestial phenomenon over Basel, Switzerland. Those were things that um, people saw were red and black balls in the sky, and a lot of the people at the time, though, you know, they thought it was miracles or sky spectacles, you know, and so 1904, you had a ship who saw three bright red meteors, one that was egg shaped and the other one that was round, that approached from the clouds and then went off above the clouds, leaving about 2 or 3 minutes later. Um, so there have been instances all across the board. And I think some of the famous things, Roswell, right? Where supposedly, what is that? That's Area 51,
Oh yeah, Area
Roswell,
51.
New Mexico.
right? Where supposedly the government found a
UFO.
crashed UFO and has been, you know, studying it and experimenting it in secrecy. You know, so that's led up to a lot of conspiracy theories out there that the government knows, the government is aware, the government is shielding people from this, that they know all this stuff. But it seems like in recent times, the Pentagon specifically has been more reticent to release videos and say, "Hey, guess what? This is confirmed." And I think the latest one was it just happened a couple of days ago, and that's kind of the genesis of this
Wow,
podcast,
only a
right?
couple of days ago. Damn.
Yeah. So, Eli, do you know a little bit about this report that came out that kind of got us on the path of doing this conspiracy corner episode?
So basically, there was a UFO sighting. I don't know where. Hold on.
Well,
Yeah, they confirmed like leaked photos and a video of it, and they said it was actually like literally legit, right?
mhm.
And
It's legit, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was a pyramid like shaped object
Yeah.
that was caught on a night vision camera. And they normally the Pentagon doesn't say anything about it, which is striking and strange, right? Normally they don't say anything about it. But lately they've been confirming footage that has been leaked. Not only this one, but they also confirmed um, others from back in 2004 and 2005 where fighter pilots, had actually seen things that they could not explain.
Mm.
And they were saying, you know what, these things can't be airplanes or planes that we
No.
know of because of the way that they move, how they hover, the speed that they attain, the movements that they said it's literally impossible that this is technology that exists on this planet today. And so, that's got the internet in a tizzy because now you have confirmation from the Pentagon saying, yeah, those things that you said were UFOs, yeah, you're right. They're UFOs.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that even more so, I think people are waiting because this summertime supposedly.
Yeah, they're gonna be releasing like all their information, or
Mhm.
at least most of it.
Everything.
Most of it, though, right?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a series of reports. I don't think it's going to be one general report overall. I think they're going to be releasing it in like bits and pieces and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, they're going to start releasing all the information that they had over the
But
years.
here's my thing: are they really gonna release everything though?
Well, I guess we have to wait and see to see when these reports actually come out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know that this is kind of like, oh, they're finally admitting it. But what if they're only admitting it just so that this whole rumors and conspiracy thing can just die down once and for all?
Yeah, but that
Well,
won't exactly
I think
help.
if you admit it, it actually ramps it up even more,
Yeah, you're gonna just,
right?
bro. That's like we spoke about this not too long ago. The only thing that would do is cause more chaos because yes, while you have the more civilized people who can actually take it as it is, you have people who are gonna be just like, oh, this is a lie, or I just this can't be real, or I'm gonna start setting up a bunker just in case a freaking alien apocalypse would happen. And we know that that might not happen, but there are people who take from the movies, like the alien movies, and the well, alien movies can be sometimes true, and we'll talk more about that later. But
Yeah, we're going to talk about the depiction of aliens in movies as well, and if we think that that's true or not, and things of that nature. But to AJ's point, there it could go both ways, right? You could have a segment of people that look at this and say, well, you know what, the Pentagon, the U.S. government is now actually admitting the fact that there are UFOs, unexplained, unidentified flying objects, right? And they'll be like, oh, well, we kind of knew that all along, moving
Yeah.
on, right? But then you have those diehard conspiracy theorists, right? That have been screaming and crying about it all this time, saying, you know what, UFOs are true, UFOs are true. And then now the Pentagon is kind of feeding into that, right? And saying, well, yeah, guys, you were right all along. And then it's like, okay, we need to know even more. You're still holding back from us. And the
Yeah.
fervor becomes even greater. It's kind of like, and think of it in these terms, release the Snyder cut,
Oh God.
right? But it's kind of the same thing because at first they were saying the existence of the Snyder cut didn't exist, right? At the very beginning. And so the Snyder cut was kind of a thing where people were like, release the Snyder cut. But it was once Zack Snyder confirmed that there was an active that he literally showed the Snyder cut to Jason Momoa, Aquaman, in that universe.
Yeah.
that really the Snyder Cut movement really took off at that point. And so that's why I kind of equate that, you know, to the release of these records to kind of like what happened with the Snyder Cut.
Okay, that kind of makes
And
sense
you
now
know
that you
what?
put it like that.
Um, I think one thing that we all forget when it comes to stuff like this is hard religious people. Yeah, because I mean, honestly, that's even more chaos right there. And if they do release information, I mean, I wouldn't say you're starting a war, but you're basically you're bringing some tension to, I guess, the religious community.
So let's talk a little bit about that. And in that vein, I guess we're going to start with the movies a little bit earlier than I thought. But there's this one movie that I recommend sci-fi fans in general. If you haven't seen it, you really should go see it. And just people in general, because I think this is a movie that's kind of gone under the radar for a lot of people and for a lot of the time. Um, and so when I mentioned this movie, a lot of people was like, "Nah, I've never heard of it." But the movie is called Contact, and it stars Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey. Okay, and so that in that movie, and I know you guys haven't watched it, and we're gonna watch it, so I'm gonna try and be as anti-spoilery as I can, and for the audience also, because like I said, a vast majority of people haven't watched it. But the point of the movie is that um the earth finally makes first contact with what they believe is an alien life form. They get a radio signal from a star called Vega in the movie, um which is only and I believe in the movie they mentioned that it's only like 20 light years away from earth, which is still a long way to go. But it's very close in terms of the galactic neighborhood, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And so that begins a process where in the movie you have science versus religion. And so the main character is an atheist
Yeah.
and she's a scientist.
Mm-hmm.
And her protagonist, the no, what is it? The antagonist? Or
Antagonist.
the antagonist of the movie is someone who is kind of above her in her position, but is very much rooted in religion, his beliefs. And
Mm.
so the crux of the movie is really um who is going to be the one that represents the earth in this first contact. And you know, there's this big court hearing and stuff like that, and he makes the case where it's like she's the one that wants to go because she's the one that's discovered the um the signal,
Mm-hmm.
and she knows the most about it, right? But the guy who really wants to go himself makes the case, and he's like, well, how can I in good conscience let a person represent the earth when she believes 95% of the planet is delusional because they believe in religion? And her thing is, in religion there's no scientific proof, you have to base everything on faith. And because she's more of an empirical person who believes in science, and science requires proof, not theory. Theory is the thing that starts it, but they ultimately get to the point of proof. She doesn't see any evidence to suggest that there is a God. So that's kind of like the basis of the movie, right? Um, what I find fascinating about the movie is the way that they treat the aliens, so to speak. And you really don't see the aliens at all in the movie. So, spoiler alert for
Yeah.
that, right? But they're not shown as malevolent creatures, right? Or at least that's the impression that we get from the movie. It's more a benevolence. This is more of like a phone call. Hey, guys, how you doing? We're here. Let's talk. You know. So in that vein, if UFOs exist, if these UFO, well, we know that UFOs exist
Yeah.
because it's already confirmed. But if UFOs exist and they're alien in nature, what do you guys think the aliens are here for? If that's
Well,
the case, right?
the way I envision aliens, and I know this is gonna be a little bit weird, but it's what's his name? Gawasu and Zamasu.
Oh,
Okay.
we're going to Dragon Ball on
Yeah, we're
this,
going to
guys.
Dragon Ball
Okay,
already,
let's go.
right? Cause I mean, I don't know if they included this in the show because I didn't exactly watch most of the Zamasu saga, the
Okay.
Future saga. But DB Super, yes. Um, but there's this part in the manga where Gawase wants to sort of teach Zamasu about having to learn that uh basically species on Earth and on all those planets uh show who they are to him and basically give him an idea of what he's going to be doing on the job, right? But basically what he does is they both go and they just monitor like dinosaurs on Earth, regular dinosaurs. Well, not even regular dinosaurs because they're like almost human like
No,
with
though
their
that's a different planet. That's not Earth.
yes,
That
and
was
it's not
that
Earth.
was in Dragon Ball Super. It
Yeah.
was.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah, I
right?
know what you're talking about.
So that's honestly the way I envision aliens. They're sort of just like monitoring us, and I don't think that the way I see it, and I know this is a little bit based off the movies, and it's a little bit fictional, but um maybe they're just probably monitoring us, and they don't want to speak to us because maybe we're just not as intelligent to understand what they're gonna say. So they're just gonna like I guess wait for us, and they'll step in when things get sort of like rough between like wars and stuff and all that. But
So it's almost like the wildlife scientists, where they're there to observe and view, but not interfere.
yeah,
They're trying to be as um, disconnected from what they're looking at, right? Because then you're influencing their behaviors if you do. So it's kind of like that you're thinking that the aliens are, right? It's a kind of like a
yeah,
hands
but
off. We're here as scientists to view the animals on planet Earth. You know, we're like a zoo, and we're they're just
Yeah.
kind of looking at us. Okay,
but that's in a perfect world, or I should say a perfect universe, right?
okay.
But I think you should get into this. But
I'm gonna give you references of movie aliens, and then I'm gonna ask you what you guys think. But I want to hear what AJ thinks first before we do that.
Honestly, I've never really given much thought to it. As to what,
Newsflash: AJ will think about it while we're on this podcast.
yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I kind of I kind of agree with what Eli says. I mean, you look at what we're doing already, and then you want to throw the third party in the mix. Like what? Would you want to talk with someone who's think about the Earth and the people of Earth as like a single person, right? And
That's
they
schizophrenic.
are another planet, and they are a single person. Would you want to go up and walk to a person who's like, "Hey, how you doing? You want to talk or something?"
So
yeah,
if you could see what AJ's
I
doing
look
right
like
now,
mental.
as he's talking, he's punching himself in the stomach and the head and stuff like that. Basically, he's psycho right now.
Yeah.
He's schizophrenic. So in one, his voice is saying one thing, but his action is just saying something else.
Yeah, but the point of that demonstration is that's basically what humanity is. We're tearing up our own planet. We're killing each other for sometimes no reason. Like, you wouldn't really want to go near that, would you?
Hmm.
So we have that right now. I said a perfect universe, right? Do you think that they're going to be violent? Because we recently watched a video of Neil deGrasse Tyson
Hmm.
on what was it, Star?
I don't remember the platform,
I'm gonna pull it up, but
but the question there was,
yeah, Star Talk.
how do you believe aliens would react when they come here? And So let's talk about that, because the movies depict aliens in very, very different ways, right? You could look at one of the most celebrated movies of all time, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, right?
Yeah.
And in that one, um, the aliens, ET specifically, they're botanists that come here to the planet to kind of, take samples of our plant life. And they are very, very much afraid of humans, to the point that they don't want to be even seen by humans. They make it so that they don't want to, they're kind of here almost like a shadow mission. They're here for one reason only, and they don't want to make first contact, right?
Mhm.
You have the old movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still, which was made in 1956. And the reason I mentioned the date, it's very, very important, because 2 years earlier, a movie came out that's near and dear to AJ's heart, which started the whole thing, Godzilla, 1954.
Oh, yes.
And so the reason Godzilla was made was because it was a direct reaction to Japan and the dropping of the nuclear bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right?
Mhm.
And so that was their response, and how they felt about nuclear war, but done in a kaiju movie.
Nice.
1956, The Day the Earth Stood Still, again, was kind of the same thing, because that movie dealt with nuclear proliferation,
Hmm.
very much like Godzilla. But the American movie was done differently, because in that one, the aliens came here on a peaceful mission, because they wanted to warn the humanity,
Mhm.
of the dangers that the humanity was, that road that they were on,
Mhm.
that they have to learn how to either live in peace, or they will find a way to destroy themselves.
Hmm.
So in that one, they actually did make themselves known, but it was a peaceful thing. Okay. Similar to Arrival, also. Arrival is a little bit more nuanced, and because those aliens came down here. And I'm trying to remember what the story of the movie was, but they didn't come with violent intentions. They kind of wanted to make contact with humans. But then you look at movies like Predator,
Gosh.
okay? And in the Predator movies, the aliens come here because they view humans as less than. They're more like animals to be hunted for sport.
Mhm.
Okay. I can't use aliens as a reference, or the movie Alien, because those aliens were more animalistic, didn't have the ability to, you know, leave their planet. They were more taken from their planet and put it in different places and stuff like that, right? Or if a spaceship landed on their planet, they would kind of infiltrate. So they were more like a virus in a
Yeah.
sense, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
accurate.
Um, and then you see movies like Star Wars
Oh gosh.
and Star Trek.
This.
And Star Trek, I think I'm going to lean more to Star Trek than Star Wars, because
Yeah,
Star Wars
definitely.
is more like a space opera,
Yeah.
where in that case, you know, the universe has kind of been colonized, and you have galactic order or disorder in this sense, for that movie. But Star Trek is more along the veins of what maybe star space travel would be like, because the main focus of the USS Enterprise is that they're supposed to go out into the universe, make contact, but the prime directive is to not interfere with those aliens and their worlds. It's more like, it's more of an exploration and such.
I've actually never seen Star Trek.
Star
Oh
Trek
no,
is
I
very,
have,
very
but
interesting. The older ones, the
yeah.
newer ones, especially with J.J. Abrams, they kind of made it more like a Star Wars esque type movie. But the older ones with William Shatner, and particularly the TV series, was more in the vein of exploration.
Hmm.
You know, they were going out to different places, exploring the universe. You know, observing other planets and other alien species. So those are kind of like the tropes that you see in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And in that talk that we saw with Neil deGrasse Tyson, um, he made the point that if it was us, we would go to other planets and destroy it because that's our nature.
Yeah.
Because we've done it here. We've done it in our exploration of continents, the New World, right?
Yeah.
When Europe came over to the Americas, they colonized and conquered the Americas. And, if you look at the US in particular, the Native American population that was so prevalent back then has really been reduced to a very, very slight minority in our country.
Mm-hmm.
So, he looks at our history to look at what we would do if we moved into the space travel industry and if we were exploring. Um, he believes that our nature is to destroy what we find. I would tend to think that an alien species that comes here would be more benevolent. And again, kind of like more in the vein of ET and stuff like that, kind of like what you said, Eli,
Mm-hmm.
that they would be more observant and stuff, trying to understand our society, trying to understand how we work. Um, and maybe, just maybe, they're once they think that we're at a point where we can have an active dialogue, kind of like what AJ was saying, where we're not so schizophrenic in our personality, that maybe that's when they'll reveal themselves to us, and then there's an active exchange of ideas and thoughts and things of that nature. At least that's what I would like to think would happen. What do you
So,
guys think?
I mean, I don't know, cause
Well, I do agree with you about aliens being more benevolent.
Benevolent.
Benevolent. Um, honestly, I want to say that every species nature is the same thing, because as we know, it isn't. I mean, you have species like birds and stuff. I mean, we don't see any sort of, ben, I mean,
Yeah,
malevolent.
animals in
Yeah,
general don't have these violent impulses that humans have.
yeah, but
They do their things because of survival and nature.
yeah, but I don't know how to phrase this. Well, you know, I figure that, but benevolence comes with growth and evolution, right? So that
Yes.
comes with growing your
Let me
how
a-
do I say it?
let me ask you a question, because I think this is what you're trying to get at, right?
Mhm.
Do you think that higher intelligence equates to violence? I think that's what you're trying to get at, right? Like you're saying,
Yes.
the smarter you are, maybe the more violent you have the capacity for, but at some point your intelligence becomes higher than that you become more empathetic. Is that what
Yeah.
you're
So
trying to
like,
say?
yeah, the way I see it, the more intelligent you are, the more benevolent you are,
Yeah,
right?
there's like a point where you're violent, 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 and then, oh wait, violence doesn't make sense. Let's become more peaceful,
Yeah.
right? That's what you're trying to say, right?
But I don't know. There's something about it, because I feel that not all alien species should be considered intelligent. I mean, when you look at mass extinctions for an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've had that with the dinosaurs, and they started over. Basically, that's where we came in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way I see it is that things like extinctions can happen on other planets where their technology is being left, but you have lesser intelligent species. And I don't know. I don't know. I just feel that aliens should be, yes, while aliens should be intelligent, I feel that we shouldn't put it to a higher standard. We shouldn't put it to such a high standard as what movies show to us, right? And I feel that, yes, while aliens might have that sense of benevolence, right, they also might be like maybe a little bit primal, I guess, it all depends on aliens' nature, and I don't think that our first expectations of aliens should be that they're here to help us or they're here to kill us. And I think that it should be maybe in the middle, like what we would do, or
Right.
a little bit of a more calmer version of what we would do.
Okay. You bring an interesting point, and I'm going to throw this to AJ. And this is a trope that has been in the movies also. Um, the more technology we attain, the more technology destroys us.
That makes sense though.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you were trying to say, that you may have alien civilizations that have attained such a high level of technology that ultimately the technology destroyed them, and then when the world started over again, that technology was left over to a new species that may not have been as evolved as the one that left, and still is in its infancy,
Yeah.
but has all this technology.
And it's not even just that. Before I pass it on to AJ, right? I just want to make this quick point. Even though we all considered aliens to be intelligent, I mean, you can't expect all aliens to be intelligent. I mean, you have a government right now you have really intelligent people there, but then you have corrupted people over there.
Mhm.
And I feel that yes, it might not be the same way in outer space, but there is that sense that you can tell that something like that can happen. So AJ,
Um, I think I think that when we're talking about what to expect of aliens, I honestly feel there's no real way of knowing. I
yeah,
mean,
right,
the way I think of it is kind of like this. We're so used to it's either one or two things. They're either here to destroy us or to help us. What if it's neither of those? What if it's, oh, well, that thing water looks cool. Let's study that.
Yeah.
Or it could be something as inane as I don't know. There are so many other things it could be that there's really no way of knowing what what um what that interaction would be like, because I think limiting it to just those two options is kind of, it's like a tunnel vision thing.
yeah, and I totally agree because like I guess the way I make my inferences in real life and the way I live my life is I live with, I guess you could say, no real expectations for anybody. I mean, I set an expectation there, but like it's very, I guess, free, right? You know what I'm saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's
You
what,
have an open mind.
yeah, I have a more open mind, and I think that that's what we should not expect from aliens, but I think that's the way we should think about aliens.
Okay. So, what do we think about? You've seen the footage, right? You've seen the footage of the alien for spacecrafts.
Yeah.
I have not.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna.
Try and check it into it. The alien. Well, I say alien spacecraft, and I digress. The UFOs that we've seen. There is a case to be made that these things do not move the way a normal aircraft on Earth would move, right? And so the question is, do you really buy into the fact that these UFOs may actually be alien in nature? Now, the reason I ask that is because there is, the latest one that came out is dealing with a pyramid
Triangle.
like
Yeah.
thing, right?
Well, it was in Argentina, I believe.
Right. And
I
so
don't know.
this thing moves unlike anything that we've seen before. But what's interesting to me is that within the week prior to that, there was a release that the US is working on a brand new next generation fighter jet.
Yeah.
And the depiction that they had was one where the aircraft that's being developed is also pyramid-like in nature.
Hmm.
And this is supposed to be a top secret thing and stuff like that. But it kind of, if you look at them and put them two together, they kind of look similar. So is it that we're really seeing UFOs, or is this more like super secret
Yeah.
technology that's being built by somebody? And of course the secretive nature of it is that we're not going to tell you guys that it exists for obvious reasons, right? What do you think about that? Do you think that the UFOs we're actually seeing are alien in nature, or are they more secret projects that are being built, for the military, for example? Like I said, in this case, they're talking about the next generation aircraft that's going to replace the F-22 and the F-35 here in the States.
Yeah.
They look almost exactly the same if you put them side by side. So is this footage of that next generation fighter that they don't want to admit they're making? Or is it just we're really seeing alien aircrafts?
Uh, it's
Do we
weird because how do you maintain that that there's secrecy from the government standpoint? You maintain that there's secrecy with regard to this new fighter jet thing, but then in like what, like a week later or whatever, then you have this thing that you see that you can't quite explain. Like,
Well,
I
it's called plausible deniability,
well,
right?
yes, but I don't know. It's really, see, I don't know what to think because I mean, it's not, me personally, it's not impossible that aliens exist, but I lean more towards the side that nah, that's not out there.
Well, there's the theory called Occam's razor, right?
What the hell?
What's
Occam's
that?
razor is that the thing that's generally the simplest to explain is usually the truth, in a nutshell, right?
Mhm.
So instead of saying, well, water is falling from the sky, maybe it's rain, as opposed to water is falling from the sky, but yet somebody is pumping, you know, chemicals into the sky and making the thing, and then it comes down as poisonous rain. Occam's razor would say the simplest theory is, well, it's just rain.
Hmm.
So are we saying that that's what the case is here? That the simplest theory is that these are just terrestrial objects that have been secretive in nature and not aliens,
I
based on that
mean,
theory?
I that seems more plausible to believe, in my opinion.
What about you, Eli?
I think that
The more technology you have, it's harder to distinguish the truth and fake, right? And Occam's razor, I don't necessarily agree with that, because then for that reason, I mean, that means everything that we see, that means we would be practically conspiracy theorists at this point. We come up with, if that's what it is, oh, there's a light, we have a light above us, right? What could that be? That could be fire. I don't know. The way I see it is that Occam's razor is, wait,
And here's the
yeah,
actual thing
it's
about Occam's razor. So, let me just put this in, so and then you can continue. Occam's razor is the principle. This is the actual principle, where entities should not be multiplied without necessity. Okay,
yeah.
to put it simply, the simplest explanation is usually the right one, and this was attributed to an English Franciscan friar, William of Ockham, who lived back in 1287 to 1347 AD. So this theory has been around for almost over 1,000 years. So
Yeah.
that's what that is. So
I mean, it's really hard to explain, because what they're basically saying is, don't make things more complicated than it actually is.
exactly.
And I feel that that can be applied to some situations, but trying to apply that to every single situation, everything just becomes simpler, and
Yeah.
that's where I mean, you start losing brain cells that way.
Well, I think that's you use Occam's razor as your baseline.
Baseline,
You
yes,
know,
definitely.
especially in scientific theory, right?
Yeah,
That's how you approach scientific theory. You start with a baseline, and you start with the simplest, most logical reason, and then you build on it from there, and you do experiments to prove your theories,
yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And so I guess when you say that you can't apply Occam's razor liberally across everything, you're right. But I think that's a good
It's a
baseline to
good,
start,
yes.
you know?
That's what I meant. But like, if you don't have any evidence, I don't think that the best way to go is through Occam's razor. I best leave that unclassified, I guess, right?
I
Or
guess that's what UFOs are, right?
yeah,
Unclassified. And
unclassified.
so they're not applying Occam's razor there because they're saying, you know what? These are unidentified flying objects. We have no way in terms of physics to reconcile what they do and how they move and, you know, what it is. So we can't apply Occam's razor there because there's really no basis for simplicity on that
Yeah,
because some of these things defy physics.
yeah.
So I guess an Occam's razor theory wouldn't apply with these UFOs in some cases, you know.
I have a question, and I know we sort of jumped into this, but I want to jump into even more.
Okay.
Right? Do you think aliens are real? Do you think that it's an actual thing? And I know that's, yes, you can say it's possible, but it's sort of controversial, right? It's in that unknown area.
Let's let well, what do you think? Let's start with
Oh,
you.
well,
Let's do with AJ and then I'll give
yeah.
my thing because I have a very specific line that I love to use when we talk about aliens, but I'll let you go first. What do you think? Do you think aliens exist?
Yeah. I mean, I I'm actually in the middle between science and religion. I wouldn't say I believe in God and all that. I don't believe in God specifically, but I believe that there is someone up there like controlling everything and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And doing all that. But it's I just find it so weird that you would say that there's only one species in the entire, I mean, one one planet filled with life form in the entire universe. And by saying that, it means just, I mean, it's like don't flatter yourself there, because he wouldn't, whoever is up there, they wouldn't spend time just doing one specific, how would you call it?
You're taking an entire parking lot for just one car.
Yeah, it's like that's insane. And
That's a way of putting it, right? You build an entire parking lot,
yeah,
parking garage for just one car.
yeah. And honestly, I feel that that isn't something that we should follow, but at the same time, we have no real evidence. But as of right now, I feel that it's better to think that there are more out there instead of thinking that you're alone, because then that starts a whole thing with chaos and stuff, right? And I'd rather, at this point, it's like, would you rather believe in this or that? And I feel that aliens are more plausible, and I mean, it's aliens, it's plausible, right?
Mhm. AJ,
Um, it's kind of like I said before. I'm kind of leaning towards the. Well, okay. Let me amend this a little. I generally trend along the they're not out there, but there's a catch with that. I It's weird because there is that possibility, but I mean it could be one of a couple things. The one that I think I stand behind the most is that even if they were out there, they're probably long dead or something like that. Um, or so that's one. And then the second one was kind of like what we were discussing earlier. If they are there, they sure as all heck don't want to talk to us. And I mean that's really it. For me, it's between those three. They're just not out there to begin with, and they never were, or they were, and they're just not around anymore.
Dead
Or
civilization.
yeah, or they're there and they don't want to talk to us. Or this is gonna sound a little. This is gonna sound really out there. But the other day, I was just kind of thinking, like, well, you have some pretty out there depictions of beings in religion. Like, think about angels. They they're these humanoid looking things,
Yeah.
and they have wings. And then they're even more sort of crazy as you look into the lore. Some of them have wings covering their faces. Some of them are literally wheels with eyes all over them.
Yeah.
So it kind of this is just me. Like my mind was jogging. Like, what if like all that
Yeah.
heaven and hell stuff? What if they were like two warring alien races that took their crap to Earth?
Yeah,
This is like a weird thing I was thinking
no,
one day.
I don't think that's weird at all. I honestly, at some point, I was thinking that too because that's very plausible. I mean,
Sure. I
uh,
mean, you look at some of these ancient religious texts, and they were done pre-science. So and again, we're getting into very weird waters here when we're talking about religion, because religion and science really don't make the best bedfellows. If you look at the Catholic religion, and some of the people who really follow that tenet, the Earth has only been around for 100 years or so. Maybe hundreds of years, but that there definitely is not the notion that the Earth is 6 billion years old or whatever.
4.6
Yeah,
ish,
somewhere around. Yeah,
4.5.
there's clearly not that. They take the biblical text, quite literally, saying that you know the Earth was formed in 7 days. For me,
Yeah.
I kind of look at that text and I say it's more of a metaphorical type of thing, where
Yeah.
it's not 7 days, but it's maybe 7 ages, and you're taking these spans and just kind of simplifying it into 7 days. But maybe creation did take, in terms of a godlike thing, it took millions or maybe billions of years, but it was kind of condensed for the sake of the text into like 7 days. So I take it more metaphorically. um but where was I getting to? The religious thing, it could be a thing because, like I said, this was done before science was really a thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of ways to explain some of things where these are miracles, these are religious sightings, these are religious acts. And so maybe they did see it. And again, I'm not saying that that's what it is, and I'm definitely not you know denigrating any type of religion, because you know what, religion is a personal thing, and it's a faith-based thing,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
And so we're not saying that anybody who believes in religion is wrong. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that at all. As a matter of fact, I do believe in God, and I do believe in religion, but I also believe in science also. So I try and marry the two together, right?
Yeah. I think so many people try. Excuse me.
I think so many people try like drawing the line between science and religion,
They shouldn't.
and
I think they can coexist.
I think no, I don't even think they can coexist. Well, I think that yes, I think that they can coexist, but I don't even really think it's that. I don't think anybody has actually taken the time to put these two together to I mean I don't know how to explain it. I had it just a couple of seconds
Well,
ago. But like what
the
if
Bible in general is a historical account, because you can find, references
yeah, I
to
know.
those things in real life. I mean, the shroud of Jesus Christ is real. The parting of the sea is real. Now, people say that that was linked to the explosion of Mount Vesuvius, which happened in and around the time that the parting of the Red Sea happened, which would kind of make sense because an explosion of that nature would create a tsunami and a shockwave around the world. You know what I'm saying? So that way, you do see maybe it's not a parting, but maybe it's a, a, a recession of the sea.
Yeah.
You know, because of the shockwave, and it's literally they've linked those time periods closely together. So there is some thought to that.
Yeah,
And
but
again, you could always say that the parting of the sea was a religious event that God said, you know what, I'm going to blow up Mount Vesuvius to create
yeah,
this phenomenon.
that's
You know,
what I was thinking.
and
Right?
so again, in my mind, religion and science do coexist some way, you know, and
But
stuff.
anyway, I just wanted to propose this real quick because I
Mhm.
know I've been talking a lot, right?
That's fine.
What if the reason why we haven't seen any aliens, and let's just say that, let's just completely forget the UFOs for a second, for just a second. What if the reason why we have not seen any alien life forms and stuff like that, is because maybe they're just not as advanced as we think they are? Like what? I mean, Earth started just a couple of billions years ago, right?
Right.
Supposedly, right?
And in the context of our lifetime on Earth, we're just a blip in that timeline.
Yeah.
We literally are. If you look at the clock of the Earth, we are literally less than a second on that
Yeah.
clock face. You know, so
So
there's a possibility they came here billions of years before, right?
yeah.
And saw that there was no intelligent life and never came back. Also,
Yeah.
right?
So like, what if this is gonna sound crazy, but what if like most of all alien life form was birthed at not at the same time, but around the same time, and that's it's very far out there. But I mean, it's weird. It's hard to think about.
Well, I'm just gonna say this, and this is in response to the other question whether I believe alien life form is out there. And I'm gonna use a line that I heard from a movie. I said, If there's no aliens out there in space, in the universe, in our galaxy, that's an awful waste of space,
Yeah. Right.
right?
Yeah.
You look at where we are in the well, look at us in our solar system. Well, not our solar system, our galaxy itself, the Milky Way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you guys were shocked when I showed you this
Mhm.
of where we are on the Milky Way as a solar system, right? The Milky Way is this huge galaxy, and we are just a pinpoint
Oh
on one
yeah.
of the arms of that galaxy.
Well, I knew that.
And that's that vast thing. And that's just our galaxy. We haven't even spoken about
Yeah.
the universe in general. So if we're that small in just our galaxy itself, then I have to think that the universe, which contains billions and trillions of these galaxies. I mean, think about that, right?
Yeah.
How small we are on our own galaxy. And in the universe, there's trillions of these out there. There has to be something.
Yeah. And
And
you know what?
maybe the reason why we haven't made contact is because we're stretching these vast distances
Yeah.
to traverse and things of that nature.
I mean,
You know,
real quick, because I want to pass it on to Andre, right?
Yeah, Andre looks like he wants to say something about
Yeah.
that. You know,
Isn't it scary, in a way, that you're the only sort of aliens in the entire universe? It's
it makes us almost feel very lonely.
yeah, right.
You know,
I don't like that.
Well, first to answer that question, technically, yeah, you'll feel lonely, but if you're coming at this from like the capitalist standpoint, you won't feel as bad when you pillage other planets. But anyway, I don't know how true this is now, but I remember learning. I don't know. Maybe it was in a science course. I don't remember where I heard it, but I know I heard it in like a school setting. But like ever since like the Big Bang, basically the universe has been like sprawling and like stretching, kind of like
Yes.
growing outwards, and that's basically, all these galaxies are growing on like the fringes.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, if you wanted to find, I mean, at least traces of older civilizations, wouldn't you try to go back towards the center and focus your sights there?
Because that's the oldest
Yeah.
places in the universe, right?
Yeah.
But where is the center? And I think that's our limitations here, because
Yeah.
we've only just within the last maybe 10 to 20 years really and again, because of technology and these powerful telescopes and these scientific techniques, we've only really started to map the outskirts of our own galaxy,
Yeah.
and we're starting now to really get into universe exploration because of this. So now we've found the discovery of these super earths, right? Which again has happened within the last 10 or 20 years, because our technology has really given us the access to do so. um so now we're really getting into the exploration, and maybe as our technology advances more, we're able to map more of the universe going forward. So this brings me to our final question, because I think we need to wrap up. And I know Eli was looking at this before the podcast. Space exploration on our part. We've already seen deep space satellites such as Voyager that have really pushed the envelope of our scientific knowledge, because they've gone past um, our known solar system, and we're still getting information on it. And these are satellites that have existed for 30 years, and they're still giving us information, right? So we're getting into space exploration and stuff like that. And one of the things that I showed you that you guys weren't aware of was Elon Musk sending a Tesla Roadster out into our solar system. So he, on his Falcon Heavy spacecraft, um, he sent out the cargo of that one launch, was an actual Tesla Roadster. Of course, it was modified for space travel, a convertible that has a mannequin spaceman in it. And so I believe there were some things that were put in there, as first contact material, if this thing were ever able to pass our solar system. This is our first contact to another alien civilization. They'll pick up the Roadster and say, "Wow, this is a cool car. How do I drive it?" Right? But that goes into saying, talk is we want to return back to the moon. Talk is we want to build the moon base to help us explore Mars. The talk is we need to start thinking about moving away from planet Earth, because planet Earth right now is in crisis with climate change and political climates and things that are happening on our planet. We're in the midst of what scientists are calling another great mass extinction. And surprisingly enough, this is a man-made extinction, as opposed to all the other ones where basically it was a natural extinction. So we're seeing hundreds and thousands of species that are basically going extinct every year. So the thought is we're eventually going to end up destroying this earth. At least that's what it looks like. We now need to start thinking about moving and colonizing outer space.
But
What do you guys think?
technically,
What do you guys think about that? Because the
you
first step is to creating that moon base, right?
I mean, yes, but if you ask me, I think that would only exacerbate all the problems we have already. And again, I know this is a fictional property, but I feel like this is an especially relevant show to bring up.
Yeah, right.
Look at The Expanse,
Mm-hmm.
where
Great sci-fi show, people. By the way, if you haven't seen it, please go watch it.
you, yeah, you have
Expl-
Luna.
explain the Expanse.
Okay,
The plot of
so
it.
The Expanse, basically, there are three factions. You have the people on Earth, you have the Belters, or humans that have colonized asteroid belts, and then you have the Martians, where people have actually colonized Mars.
And are trying to terraform it.
Yeah, and are trying to terraform it. Um, and you'd think that, oh, well, we're all working towards this one goal. We're all going to help each other. But what you actually see there is, like I said, an exacerbation of what you already have on Earth. Uh, Racism, for one. Martians, they don't even really see them as human, they see them as otherworldly life forms, basically.
And look at the Belters too, right?
And especially the Belters with their because sometimes because of the low oxygen they get like these genetic defects where maybe a spine won't grow right, or
Gravity.
yeah.
Hmm.
And gravity itself, you can't exactly, if you were to go to Earth, you'd basically get crushed because your body is adapted to low gravity, not
Right.
the high gravity that you would have on Earth. I don't think, honestly, going out to space will solve the problem. I think it'll be like this temporary band aid. But even then, the band aid is infected because all you're doing is bringing your problems to a different place. I mean, colonization back then, to a point, yes, it did better the world, but at the same time, you look at the long term effects of colonization, and all it really is you're just eating up all these resources. Oh, okay, then you have to go to the next place. Oh, we used everything up here. Now we got to go to the next place. Now the whole planet's running dry. Oh, now we got to go to the next place. It's just a. It really looks like it's a cycle. It's not. The only way you break that cycle is if you change your behavior and your disposition towards how you approach the problem. Otherwise, if you approach the problem from the exact same standpoint, you're not really going to get anywhere. You're just taking your problems with you.
I would submit though that colonization was not a positive thing for the indigenous people of
Well,
the place
yes,
that was being colonized.
of course,
You
that
know.
too. Like I said, there's some benefits, but there were largely a lot of drawbacks.
Hmm. Eli.
I don't think it's a never ending cycle because at some point or another, even if we're colonizing, we're gonna have an extinction. It's not something you can avoid, or you're never gonna avoid an extinction, no matter what, right?
Well, I think our technology has given us the fighting chance to do so. You know.
No, I don't. I don't really think so. I don't think that's with because then you'd be playing God at that point, and for something like that to happen, I mean, you'd have to be a really advanced um uh
Civilization.
civilization. But you guys asked me this question a while back, and you guys said you wanted more space exploration, and you said it's exciting, right?
It is. I do believe it is. I mean, just look at all the news that we've been getting. You know, the Mars rovers that we've landed. We've been able to land on asteroids, which is something that we've never thought was possible before. You know, um, just recently, we now have a flight. Uh, what am I saying? I'm sorry. a vehicle that can actually fly on Mars. They have a drone that's actually flying on Mars. Stuff like that was never possible for before. That's exciting because not only do we have a rover that is taking samples from the soil and, giving us these awesome 4K pictures, now we can actually go up even a little bit further, and see it from the top down. So that's exciting to me, just to be able to see another planet like that.
That's scary for me, honestly, because you have all these things with technology will be the end of us, and I think that's where that comes into play. Space or exploration will be the end of us, and that's no doubt, because by the time we're done with this earth, we'll be moving on, and then we'll die over there, all of us, right? Not to be yeah, but uh I feel that it's not us to choose. uh I guess it's weird. I feel that you by that point, if you can explore space, I feel that you have a lot of power, and I don't feel that that's right. And I feel that it's not us to choose where we are in the universe.
Okay. I know I said that it was the last question, but you gave me something to think about, and I want to ask this, and this is going to be our final question because we really do need to wrap up. But um, how do you think mankind as a whole would react to a first contact scenario? Because Andre brought up The Expanse, and in that show, it is built around, the whole plot is built around a first contact experience, but instead of uniting everybody, it actually splintered them even more because now everybody wanted a piece of the action, so to speak. So that's a fictional um, scenario. But what do you think would happen if this were to happen in real life? Let's say, for example, we find first contact either kind of in the way of the movie Contact, where we find a radio signal not that's artificial, that's not natural in composition, or first contact where an arrival where they actually do come down here and make contact with us physically. How do you think mankind reacts to that? Does it unite us? Does it divide us? Does it? I mean, what do you think? What do you think happens?
Honestly, I think, uh, I mean, it's tough, but I kind of lean towards a uh well, obviously they're gonna be the people who are like, oh, this has been doctored or something or whatever. Uh, and then there's the segment. I see three other segments. I see the segment where the first instinct is to kind of run and be scared or something like that. Flight. You have the third one, which is obviously fight.
Let's
Because,
destroy them.
yeah. And then there's the third, which I honestly believe will be the smallest of the population, who will be like, okay, so let's talk. Because honestly, whenever it just feels like whenever we're introduced with something new, the first instinct is to either control it or just do away with it because we can't control
Okay, that's super super plausible. What do you think, Eli?
It's really hard to tell because uh
Yeah, we've never
I
had an experience like
yeah,
that, right?
I feel that yes, you're right in sort of the sense that first experiences we usually screw up big time, but this is different. We know that this is different because this is something that's generally beyond us, and this is we have no control of this. And I feel that yes, there are gonna be people. I think it's just gonna be scared and fight, right? And all scientists will try and it's like Contact, from what I saw from the trailer. We'll
Which we
try
have to
and
watch.
we'll try and uncover this, and we'll screw it up big time. But there's no real way of knowing. I mean, I feel that I feel that it's just
Yeah,
it's nothing that we can expect,
it's
right?
unknowable right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna preface this with an asterisk, right? Because I guess the closest event that we've had just as a nation would be September 11th.
Yeah.
And I look at that and there's a part of me that tries to be optimistic about things because when September 11th happened, it was a horrible experience, you know. Something that hopefully will never happen again to any country, let alone, the United States. But what I saw in the days and weeks that happened after 9/11 was this country uniting in a way that I don't think I've ever seen before, where people were willing to do whatever it took to help each other. And so there's that part of me that thinks that if something like this happens, maybe we see a coming together in a global sense, the way 9/11 united us here in the States.
Well,
But, but
yeah.
2020 has shown us,
Yeah.
and again, 9/11 happened 20 years ago. And so you would think that things really wouldn't have changed all that much. But then, like I said, 2020 happened. And 2020 really showed the worst of what mankind and humanity can do and be. And so as optimistic as I am to think that something like this would unite us globally as one human community, which it should be because we're all humans and we all deserving of life and liberty and all this other stuff. I'm less optimistic because of what I've seen in the last couple of years and stuff.
I
So
think here's what I think. I think that it's not going to unite or divide us, right? I think it's only just going to, I guess, well, yeah, it's going to do both. It's going to put our unition or whatever it's called to the extreme.
unification.
Yeah, unification will unite, and then it'll get suddenly even worse than what we're seeing today and 2020.
Yeah, I agree. All right, I think this was a great discussion that we had about UFOs today. I know we started out as a conspiracy corner and stuff, but I think we really got into some super deep uh, stuff regarding not only UFOs and aliens, but what it would mean for us in general if aliens did exist. So I think we're going to wrap it up on that note. I want to thank again everybody who's listening to this podcast for joining us and joining us on this journey that we undertake every week. It's an awesome ride so far, and I hope you continue to take that ride with us. Again, we'll be back next week with another episode. We'll come up with something really cool for you guys. A lot of the stuff we kind of wait to see what's going on in the week to see if there's anything worthy of talking about. But anyway, just know that on Tuesday we'll be back with a new episode. But remember, download this one, listen to us, give us some feedback. Tell us what you think about UFOs. Do you believe that
Right.
UFOs are real? Do you believe that aliens are real? And let's start a conversation. Let's talk. Anyway, from everybody here at the CrossGen podcast, I'm going to sign off by saying, this is Walt.
This is AJ.
Eli and Mayar. Wait, we gotta have something for conspiracy corner. Remember?
Oh, that's true. May our one-eyed pyramids cross again. Right? Something like that.
How about, since it's aliens this time, may our interstellar flight paths cross
Yeah.
again.
So may our interstellar flight paths cross again.
I like that.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hyperdrive.
Hyperspace.
Hyperspace.
What
Make
is
it so.
The
Remember
what's the
remember
Han Solo
the
thing?
Huh?
The Han Solo thing.
His hyperspace never works.
No, it's not
On the Millennium
hyperspace.
Falcon.
It's the Kessel Run.
The Kessel Run.
Yeah, the Kessel Run. I don't even know what that is.
I like the scene in Spaceballs where dark helmet,
Yes.
ludicrous speed, and then he goes flying into the panel.
It does that weird.
There you go.
Watch that again.
Yes, we will. We got a lot of stuff to watch. Anyway,
Yeah.
later, people.
Later.